Morning.
Good morning from sunny Doncaster.
Vaguely sunny Doncaster. The sun is up there. There are clouds. It was raining the other day, but today has been nice so far. Yesterday was good.
That was the weather report from minimalList.
Yeah.
We've had a lovely time on these moorings. It's very friendly, very welcoming, and the space has opened up. So
we really should be on the visitor space over here.
But we felt like we should just leave that open in case other visitors came and didn't know that potentially this one was free. And we only stayed 2 nights, and today it's time to head south towards Sheffield. Apparently it's 11 hours to Sheffield, so
I won't be going that far.
No, I don't know how far we'll be going, but
I'm about to sneeze.
We'll find out. Bless you. Should we just go?
We should talk about the husky.
Oh yeah, there's a husky that lives on this mooring.
Yeah, one of our viewers, hi again, lives here with a lovely husky, and I really like that husky because every time a church bell rings, an ambulance passes, or some other sort of loud resonant noise happens, that dog tries to call the pack.
And Michael replies.
Big howling, and then I'm like, oh, and he's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, and she's like, oh, and I just, yeah.
He was saying that ambulance drivers do it on purpose when they come past.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I find it quite cute. It's like, because I had a husky when I was a kid, and Sitka would occasionally howl at things, and I'd be like, oh, it's time to howl. So I like howling. Howling's cool. Not for everybody, I'm sure.
Have you said goodbye?
Yeah, I guess. Give some biscuits. Don't let George know that some of the biscuits have gone.
George's got itchy ear. We think it's an ear infection. It's Saturday, so we have to wait till Monday to go to the vet, but we got him some eardrops or something, so.
Yeah, well, just kind of clean it out. There's no real indication that it's an infection. It's just kind of annoying him.
Itching him, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to try and
happens.
see if we can make that a little bit easier. And he's not itching him. He's scratching an itch. Something is itching, or it was itching, but it cannot be itching him.
Can you tell
This is a long-standing... Because Joe will be all like, I'll itch that for you. No, you won't. You'll scratch it. Okay, then I won't.
Oh, you have to...
Foist it again.
All right, let's go. I'm going to sit on the front because there's a little bit of manoeuvring to do to get out of the finger moorings.
Did I just say foisted?
Yeah.
Huh. I tried to say hoisted, as in with my own petard, and then I said foisted, which is sort of correct. Foiled is what I was going for. Anyway.
Foisted worked.
Sometimes.
I thought it was just another word I hadn't picked up.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I get away with a lot of times, is like, I'll just say something, and you'll be like, vocabulary not significant enough to know whether or not that, it might just be an Americanism. It works, right? And you, I'm sure, do the same thing with British statements.
No, we don't.
Oh, okay, interesting.
When we arrived in Doncaster 2 days ago, these popular visitor moorings were full. Thankfully, the very kind permanent moorers invited us to stay on one of the private moorings, as that boat was out for a few weeks. It's a fairly pleasant spot, and the pontoons are away from any foot traffic and noise, with a nice view of the Minster above. We pass under Friars Gate Road Bridge and pull onto the lock landing. I can't remember what the simultaneous red and green lights mean. Too much time on other waterways has me expecting a flashing amber light.
Looks like there might be a lock keeper.
I take George to investigate the town lock, which is just on the far side of the bridges.
The red and green means manned and they've seen you. Next one won't be manned. One after that might be.
As there's a lock keeper on duty, we get George back on the boat, and I drive us in while reminding Joe that Perseverance has a bow thruster.
I rarely remember to use the bow thruster.
Well, that's why I wondered why it gets turned off.
And also, I don't know which one's which.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, oh, I think it's this one, then I have to look after both sides to see what's happening.
I know. I've tried to get that one to make sense somehow.
Let me try and learn it. So what's the front one?
Front, port, back, starboard.
Yeah, but that means nothing to me. I need to know which
front,
way.
left, back, right.
So it pushes the boat left or the jet comes out of the left? See? It's not so straightforward as that.
If you push front,
Yeah.
you're turning the bow that way. The port.
So if I push the front, I'm going that way.
Yeah. Front turns you to port. Back turns you to starboard.
Do we need to tie off?
No. Oh, there's an excited doggy went into that place. I just saw a little butthole in the...
3 people up there.
Yeah. But he just, the guy in the truck just opened up the door and this little doggy's bottom goes running in, and it's just like, so excited, little doggy bottom. No idea what the doggy looks like, just saw the bottom. I think it's a pug or a puggle.
We're gonna raise a whole 2 feet.
Mm-hmm. Remember when we did this in winter?
Yeah.
And it was a substantial up.
Was it? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I know we were at that other boat, and I know the river had come out of flood, and they hadn't officially said it had come out of flood.
Yeah.
They hadn't updated the notice or turned the lock on or something.
Yeah, and it was right at the edge of flood, so the high water was quite high. The riverbanks, like all the trees, were just full of garbage and completely devoid of leaves. And well, I mean, it was winter time, so you sort of expect them to be devoid of leaves. Okay, so the next lock should be Sprat Bridge.
Yeah.
And then Mexborough. And I'll have to get off at Sprat Bridge to run the lock. And Mexborough might be manned, it might not. We won't know until we get there.
But at least we know what the traffic lights mean now.
Yeah.
Real herring or fake herring?
Real herring, because it just turned towards me. And I would be awfully surprised if somebody bothered to put an animatronic heron up on a wooden bridge outside of Doncaster. That's quite a bridge, but the bend in it 1/3 of the way on is a little bit disturbing. You see how it drops? And there's a crack in the beam?
Oh yeah, I see what you mean now.
There's like a crack in the beam.
Well,
that is not a safe bridge.
There's a gate at that end, so it looks like it's closed. So what prison's this? Doncaster prison?
His Manager's Prison Crimpsall. Huh. I wonder why that section has the 15 feet of extra.
The tree died.
If somebody's going to catapult somebody over, that's the place they were going to catapult them, I guess.
Very uniform trees.
Yeah, well, they're police trees. See, now that one's got the fencing again. It's like they're expecting people to catapult prisoners or contraband, contraband inwards or people outwards, I guess.
Dickens stayed in Long Sandal in 1857 and described nearby Doncaster as being thronged with horse-mad, betting-mad, drunken-mad, vice-mad crowds.
I'm far too distracted thinking about escaping prisoners to pay proper attention to Joe's Charles Dickens fact, so on we go.
Right.
It's about 6 miles to travel on the River Don to the next lock. We pass under the actively used railway bridge, and then this is a disused railway bridge. And then ahead is the A1M. At Sprat Bridge Lock, George and I are on lock-keeping duty. The lock landing is here on the left-hand side, but because that little boat is moored there, I've decided to walk down to some moorings a little further on the right. With George back on board, we can continue on the 4 miles to the Mexborough locks. The South Yorkshire navigations were built specifically for Yorkshire keels, which were 61 foot long by 15 foot wide cargo boats. These were usually powered by sail, but when the wind failed, they could be bow-hauled by the families that owned them, or pulled for a price by a man and a horse for hire, the pair of which were known as a horse marine. The Conisborough Viaduct is made of 2 huge sections of brick and stone connected by a lattice girder. It used to carry the Dearne Valley Railway 115 feet over the River Don, which provided more than enough headroom for the masts of the Yorkshire keels below. There's a lock keeper at Mexborough Low Lock. He's having some difficulty getting the water to equalize, so we reverse back onto a mooring. Then, just as we were about to tie on, the gates are opened and we're called in. It's just a mile between the low lock and the top lock along the Mexborough New Cut, and there is a very good footpath along the route. There's not much to see here except for this rather bland hotel that appears to be named Hotel, but a little further on there are some horses on the other bank that are certainly more pleasant to look at. Mexborough sits at the end of the Roman Ridge, a dike that was apparently built by the Romans nearly 2 millennia ago. The name Mexborough is first referenced in the Domesday Book. A Motte and Bailey castle was constructed nearby shortly after the Norman conquest. We pull up on the lock landing to give George a comfort break, then spot the lock keeper and wait for a green light. Just above the top lock is what remains of the Barnsley British Cooperative Society flour mill. The idea of a cooperative society sprung up during the second half of the 19th century, during the Industrial Revolution, and was a form of collective ownership where members of the co-op all invested in and collectively benefited from owning the means of production.
So, I didn't realise, or we'd forgotten, that you have to book to go through the Sheffield and Tinsley flights of locks.
It's a bit ambiguous. The notice that's up there says to call Monday to Friday, but it's basically it's unclear, or it was unclear, whether or not you have to call Monday to Friday to book for Monday to Friday, or if you can book 24 hours in advance for any time, which would include the weekends. But no, you have to call Monday to Friday, and it's before 5 p.m. on Friday in order to book a Monday passage. There is no passages on the weekend.
But it doesn't say that on the notice.
No, it's definitely ambiguous. And the problem is that right now you're calling the customer service team, so by the time you actually get through to somebody who knows...
Well, you don't even get through to them. You speak to them, you ask the question, you give your life history and all your boat number, your telephone,
and then you get told you can't
postcode.
book.
Then you get told to call London on Monday, London South East people. Like, no, it's in Yorkshire.
But one way or another, the lock keeper at the last location has got us through to somebody.
He was very helpful.
Yeah, so they're going to try and get us through on Monday, which requires us to stop at a particular lock at 9 a.m. Monday morning and be there Monday morning in order to go up the flight. So should be no problem, but we just need to get that text message.
We probably would have stayed in Doncaster another night if we'd known.
Yeah.
But we didn't know.
We didn't know.
So we didn't. This doesn't handle changing light very well. But yeah, we're having a lovely cruise. Every lock bar one has had a lock keeper, which I wasn't expecting at all. So that's been really nice.
Last trip up here was in the
Windsor.
bleak midwinter,
Yeah.
and that explains why there was no lock keepers or anything. So we didn't even know to think that there might be lock keepers. And this time I pulled up, and the light was yellow, and the light was, the signaling light was yellow, and then there was a glare off the window, so I couldn't see anybody in there anyway. So we pulled over. He thought we might be mooring up. Then all of a sudden the lock opens, and I go, "Oh, there's a lock keeper."
And it's typical because this trip Michael was going to be doing all the lock keeping, and he hasn't had to do it. You've had to do it once. If I was lock keeping for us and you were driving, it wouldn't have happened.
When I was driving, it was all assisted passages.
Yes,
and
because
now,
I did it for you.
Yes, and now when you're driving, it's all assisted passages.
Except you're driving.
I don't think there's anything to complain about.
At some point we leave Mexborough and arrive in Swinton. This looks like one of the Canal and River Trust maintenance yards. I'll try and resist the urge to make a comment on the amount of maintenance not happening on the waterways at the moment. The lock landing here is very high, so I leave George on the boat with Joe. George is really not happy about this. This is Waddington Lock. Above the lock is Swinton Junction, which used to connect the Dearne and Dove Canal to Barnsley, 10 miles from here. From there, the Barnsley Canal went on to join the Aaron Calder navigation at Wakefield. The very creatively named Barnsley Canal Group is working to raise funds to conserve and potentially restore the Barnsley Canal. The railway line runs directly next to the water here, and on the opposite bank there seems to be an endless line of people fishing. It may be a competition, so we're probably not going to be very popular. We travel as slowly as possible, sticking to the left-hand side, and give each angler an apologetic wave. Most of them oblige by removing their rods from our way in good time.
'Tis a very technical thing. In, on, available, yay, water level, open. It doesn't say ready yet because we gotta wait for the generator to power up. Waiting, waiting, waiting. That bulb may actually not be functional. There it is functional. Open gates, gates open. We arrived and found the sluices fully open. So we've got to open the gates sufficiently and then switch to the close gates button, or sorry, close sluices button to close the sluices. Turns out if you press two buttons at the same time, then everything stops. Don't do that. There's our sluices dropping. That one needs some greasing. Sluices are now closed. Jojo passes. And we close the door. Let's cut that close. Come on, George, you can do it. There we go. This one was the flood lock, so it was already on the level. Just had to open the gates at both ends and then close them again. Good fun.
Can you get on there, George? Or do you want me to go forward? Do you want to get on at the front?
George had a little help getting on the boat, and then we're on our way. There's a huge rusty industrial building behind this wharf. I think it's part of Liberty Steel, which seems to have a huge site on both sides of the river.
These locks are so big. They have ones that are controlled at the top and ones at the bottom there. It's so funny how long it takes you to walk from one side to the other. And I can't even see the boat because it's so deep down in the lock. So there's the control panel. There's the top gates. There's the sluice marker. There's the lockkeeper's tower. And right on the other side of that is the other control panel. just coming up to the last lock of the day, passing this wharf, whatever it is.
That's the Lieutenant Wharf.
Have you just made something up?
No, I've made a joke for Star Trek people.
I'm not a Star Trek people.
Admittedly, either the best or the worst kind of people, depending on whether or not you're a Star Wars fan.
So you can't be both.
Well, some people think they can be both, but they're just deluding themselves. I say this as a fan of both Star Wars and Star Trek.
Oh, so you're deluding yourself.
Yeah.
So we're just, is it Eastwood or Eastern Lock?
Excellent question. Are you feeling lucky, punk?
Eastwood.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Okay. The good thing is the lock is down.
Yeah.
So do you want to go open it, or
No.
You're going to drive in?
Yeah. I prefer to do the driving.
Okay.
I was annoyed that I didn't do the last one.
Yeah, fair enough.
Got keys.
Yeah, I got everything I need.
Got my George.
Yep.
Looks like Eastwood Lock was once loved, but maybe not anymore. Say again?
Water level sensor turns on when the tank is completely empty. Then as soon as I open the sluices, the water level sensor turns off. But now the water level sensor turns on about a foot down and still says it's level.
I can still see water streaming in.
Oh yeah, I know. And it's not going to let me open the door until it finishes, but it's like, I'm ready! That water level sensor's come back on again, but we still got like a foot to go, and the door definitely can't open. These things need a bit of adjustment, I think, because that thing was telling me it was open when it was empty, and now it's saying it's open. It's ready to open when it ain't full. Very strange. And now it's tripped off again. So still can't open the door. Let's see if it turns itself back on. Because that door is, well, it's still not level. Look at that. So, oh, yep, it's just come back on. Still water streaming in. Don't think this is going to work, but let's give it a try. Oh, it's working. It's working. Definitely still not level. Hydraulic power is able to defeat hydraulic power.
That was a day.
That was fun. We arrived. We're in Rotherham. Well, sort of. We're
On the outskirts.
we're in Eastwood, near the trading estate, across from Rotherham. So we're near Rotherham.
And the moorings looked full, but luckily there was a space.
Yeah, thankfully. Lots of dogs about.
I just in my head, I thought there'd be a space here because last time I came it was deserted. So I was like, not even, it wasn't even a thought.
Yeah, we got to keep remembering that we were here
In the middle.
in the middle of winter, in the bleak portion after a flood.
Yeah, December
So-
the 16th.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Right, guys.
I know. Oh, look at that excited doggy.
Tennis ball time.
Yeah, enjoy.
Yeah, we thought we were just going to have an overnight here, but because we can't go through the lock until Monday, we're having 2 nights here, which
Yeah,
is fine.
yeah. But we're only like an hour away from home lock where the flight begins, so we'll just leave it like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
On Monday we'll be fine. Right.
And you get an extra day to explore Rotherham.
And more time to write, which I think is the main thing I'll do.
Okay, good.
Although exploring Rotherham sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance before. I've heard lots about Rotherham from the Daily Mail. So I'll probably go in armed and ready. And
I'd be nicely surprised.
yeah, well, I just have a feeling that I'm not going to need to gird my loins too much. But I'll gird my loins just in case. And possibly try and find a butcher's to get George some loins or something. Though really I should have done that at the market this morning.
But that was a really beautiful cruise. It's probably a little bit longer than like.
Ideal.
Yeah, I like 5 hours kind of max is.
Well, we've gotten to the point where I feel a little bit on the wind blasted and sunburned.
It was a beautiful day, and like it's a lovely cruise with a mix of like river sections and cuttings and lovely navigation. Very quiet.
There's some interesting industrial remnants.
Yeah, I don't know what those lockkeepers do all day.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely I mean, Sheffield's worth a visit anyway.
Yeah.
And doing this run, you do get some very varied experiences in this one day. Although I would say probably do it in 2 instead of 1.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe.
If you haven't already.
Subscribe to Minimalist, Maximum Velocity and more to hear.
We did another talking at the tiller time. Recording today.
Oh. George is saying it's time to go in.
George wants to go inside. And get a tennis ball and then go outside. Because he heard that other dog going past getting...
Tennis ball time?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, TBT.
Tennis ball time.
Also, there was some big race that happened, or is happening. No, it's happening today. And so yesterday, there were a large number of people in suits and women in not fancy dress, but fancy dresses. Important distinction for people not from this country. All of the Halloween stuff is out on sale, everywhere, but most people don't dress up. But anyway, fancy dress is what happens when people dress up in costumes, and these people are dressed up in nice outfits because they were all going to go to a race tomorrow. So they showed up yesterday in Doncaster to go to a race today. I said tomorrow because yesterday was when I saw all this. Anyway, I went through Doncaster this morning. No, I didn't. I went through Doncaster this morning, and what did I find out? But all of those people from yesterday who are going to the race today, who last night as I walked through Doncaster, I saw had all come to the bars, had some sort of worse for wear experience with drink, because Doncaster is covered in broken glasses and bottles and bits of alcohol and vomit and at the moment, last night there were quite a few people who got really, really, really excited, I guess, or plastered at least.
So, anyway, back to boating.
Boating is easier because there's a lot less broken glass between us and the lock. Let's cut that close. We can go to the next one. Now, one fault. This light, if this ever lights up, the fault light, when it says refer to instructions below if illuminated, it should say, if illuminated, refer to instructions below, because these instructions are never illuminated. Right? Good. I gave up after Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. But I do like the original series. And the only Star Wars trilogy.
You could see if Alien is on in Rotherham tonight. You could see if Alien is on in Rotherham tonight.
Oh, that's true. Seems like Alien Romulus is the thing to go to in Rotherham. It's like, I'm in Rotherham, I want to go see facehuggers. Now, why do I have this feeling? The media. The UK's media, specifically, extremely Daily Mail-ish portions of the UK media, the same people who believe that they're eating cats. You think that's terrible? I still want to make that T-shirt of a Eastwood as, you know, the good and the bad and the ugly character, but as a snail. It's gotta go to hell.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for you to make it.
I'm never making that one. I just think it, because I can't draw. But if I could draw a gunslinging snail character that looked like a 1970s, you know, Sergio Leone Eastwood, it would be Escargot to Hell.